And we're back live. Hey, not ideal. We had a little break in action. Some good NFL betting talk. So the NFL kicked us off, like Donnie Rightside said. And we'll just get back into it. We'll let the NFL have their little day with going against sports betting. But guys, we'll talk a little MLB, a new section called 60 Seconds with Ian Cameron. And then we'll get into college football, which will bring us right into best bets. So Donnie, Jeff, take the stage as far as MLB. I know Malinsky was talking about taking the under in the Padres game. He liked Lamet. Are you guys seeing anything else on the MLB card?
I mean, on the overall MLB card, I haven't really had that much of a chance to look at it. When we go over on the closing line, we gets a little bit closer. But if we take a look at the whole Major League Baseball, I think it's kind of interesting heading down the stretch. You got the American League with the Yankees, looking like they're either going to A, win the division, or B, get that first wild card spot. But the Twins, how about the Twins? After trading away, most of their bullpen help, sort of throwing up the white flag, looks like they're possibly going to be able to sneak in the playoffs just ahead of the LA Angels. If we look in the National League, D-backs are going to get in. And how about this battle between the Rockies and the Milwaukee Brewers, separated by one game? So even though you only have maybe 12, 11 games left, less than 2 weeks into to finish the season, looks like it's going to be fun. Again, October baseball is a lot of fun to get back into, even though football takes center stage now. So looking forward to the playoff run. Don't have too much on today's actual games, but just the overall, excitement there heading down the stretch with these couple wild card clubs. And
big man, you got anything in the MLB?
Not too much, but I will say not ideal for the Brewers in the middle of a race to get into the playoffs, playing well, and they got to throw out the proverbial Donnie starter here that's never pitched in the major leagues. Not ideal, but yeah, I don't have much in the MLB. I'll look back to it once we get to the playoffs, where we can kind of calibrate and get those old teams out of there, the teams that we don't care about, and focus on our teams. But yeah, it was nice to see the Yankees make a comeback last night and get a win there. I thought CC Donnie was going to screw me finally, but they were able to get a couple of runs there and get back into it. But yeah, it's going to be fun. Rockies, Brewers. Rockies kind of really fallen from grace in the second half. I mean, they had a nice lead over everyone else, them and the Diamondbacks, but Brewers aren't going away just yet. So yeah, I'm interested. We'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, that's it for MLB, guys. We're back going live. Had a little mishap there, but hopefully finish off strong.
By the way,
starting a new section here. It's called 60 Seconds with Cameron. And Ian Cameron takes the stage, rants, sings, does whatever he wants with his Canadian sports, NHL, CFL, whatnot. Ian Cameron, 60 seconds, got the stopwatch. Let's go, bud.
All right. Well, I was going to give a couple seconds with BMOC there, but we'll get back to him after. But CFL, let's talk about it. Drew Tate injured for the Ottawa Red Blacks. Trevor Harris was already injured. They're down to their third-string quarterback this week in Winnipeg against the Blue Bombers. Ryan Lindley is going to be the quarterback for the Ottawa Red Blacks on Friday night against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, former San Diego State Aztecs. So we'll see how he fares. He was 7 of 14, 1 interception, no touchdowns when Tate got injured. I don't trust him in the first start. So going to be interesting to see what happens there. Calgary, Saskatchewan's the game of the week. I'll probably not have a play on it, but a big game in the West Division. That's really what stands out to me in the CFL. NHL is coming up in a couple weeks. I'm looking forward to it. We're really starting to handicap the season, handicap these teams in hockey this week, getting some notes done, looking up some things, trying to see what's been going on with these teams in the off season. So in a couple weeks, I'll be all set, ready to go with the NHL season in a couple weeks. Can't wait.
All right, well done, Ian. And guys, college football, let's get into it. Teams you saw last week looking to bet on going forward. Jeff Nadeau, start us off.
San Diego State, the Aztecs. They have covered 2 in a row against Pac-12 opponents. Now they start their conference season. And you look at over the last 2 years against Mountain West opponents, 16-2. They've covered 12 of 17 against conference opponents, and this team has a whole lot of confidence going forward. They're ranked now. They're one of the premier G5 programs here coming in, and you look at what they did against Stanford, held a good Stanford attack to 238 total yards. They went through a power outage out in San Diego and still were able to come out on top. Really impressive. And, the same old stuff for San Diego State. 18th in rushing defense, really trying to really hamstringing the opponent, not allowing them to rush the football. And that's going to play into this week against Air Force. We know they have a good rushing attack. It sucks that they have to go on the road this week. That's kind of concerning. But, the old mantra, Rocky Long, forced turnovers, already have forced 7 turnovers. They've been one of the best in the country over the last couple of years, forcing turnovers. They're doing that. Christian Chapman's not hurting them. He's only helping them. This team is a bet-on team for me. They are very good in this conference throughout the years, and I think they have a whole lot of confidence right now.
And big man, just a little pushback on that. Back-to-back Pac-12 victories. They're not a secret anymore. Do you think the market might be overvaluing this the Aztecs?
No, because they haven't been able to put the right numbers out with this team for a while. I mean, they've really never been able to understand this team. And the lines makers I'm more or less talking to, they've been very good against the spread. They just crush teams in the Mountain West. It's not, and that's the problem, Drew. Other than, Boise State and maybe one other team, there's just really not many good teams in this conference. Air Force gives them trouble sometimes, and this might be a good spot for Air Force. This is more of a long-term thought here, but I mean, they really just have to win this game. I mean, 3.5 is not too bad in college football. Air Force obviously coming off that road trip. This is a concern for San Diego State, coming off a big win, going on the road. But Rocky Long has always had this team prepared in this division, and I don't think really anyone's going to bring this team down due to the fact that they've just been so dominant over the Mountain West over the last couple of years.
Okay, and let's go to Ian Cameron. Ian, what are you seeing in college football from last weekend or before that you're looking to bet on this week?
The big question I have right now is I think we get a little bit of value in the number here with Iowa this week against Penn State. And the reason I say that is actually I went against Iowa. In fact, with North Texas last week, I took North Texas as the big underdog in that game. It was a little bit of a bad situation for Iowa. We're coming off a huge, thrilling overtime win against Iowa State the week before. Takes a lot out of you. It's an in-state rivalry. You get up for that. You're fired up. You're intense. You're all of that. You're not so intense to play the North Texas Mean Green. No disrespect to Seth Luttrell's team that he's got there in Denton, but let's be honest. I mean, North Texas at home is not going to really stoke the fires of intensity and Max. Not that the effort wasn't there for Iowa, but they were sluggish throughout that football game. They did not sniff a point spread cover. They were sandwiched in between that Iowa State overtime game and this huge showdown against Penn State. And let's not forget, you look at this kind of scenario here with Iowa coming into this game with Penn State. It's a night game in Iowa City. You remember Michigan, they played them in a night game at home, gave Michigan big-time problems.
They beat them.
Yeah, exactly. Beat them. And a situation where Iowa, to me, getting that many points. Look, Penn State's looking fantastic. There's no denying that. They beat Pittsburgh. They ran over Georgia State. I understand that. But let's see them now go on the road, face Iowa, nighttime environment, a still pretty good Iowa defense, and an Iowa defense that actually got to face a passing attack in North Texas. So a little more depth to stop Trace McSorley. And I think they can do at least somewhat of a manageable job against Saquon Barkley for as good a running back as he is for Penn State. So I'm kind of looking at Iowa plus the points. It's not going to be one of my top plays this week in college football, but I'm going to look to make a case for Iowa plus the points. I think Stanley, their quarterback, has played better earlier in the season than maybe people thought it would take him some time, but he's played well. They can run the football as well as anyone. They got a good offensive line, very good offensive line. Their defensive front has blown up the line of scrimmage in multiple games this season, Iowa. So I think Penn State is going to get a little bit of a test on their hands on Saturday night.
All right, Ian. And anybody else want to throw anything out? Jeff, what you got, man?
Just wanted to throw out a fade. And then this is a team that we have to just decipher what exactly is going on. East Carolina, I mean, they've given up 154 points in 3 games. And in those 3 games, they've given up 1,908 total yards. I mean, that's astounding. 636 total yards. And we have to remember this week, they're playing on Sunday, the only game on Sunday. This is very much out of the realm. Normally, other than the first week, you don't see this in college football. And they're going on to play a team in Connecticut who is dreadful as well, passing defense-wise. Both these teams give up a ton of points. And what I like about this game is you have Thomas Sirk coming back. Sirk is a guy that can move the football. And if you saw last week, they were able to move the ball in the early halves against Virginia Tech. I think this is a high-scoring game. I see a total at 65, which is a little high for these teams, but we need to get away from the point that this is that Bob Diaco defense. No more for UConn. He's gone and left the building. This team has major trouble stopping the pass. Both these teams can't stop each other. I think we're going to see a high-scoring game here. But going forward, this ECU team is really dreadful. I mean, defensively, they're amazingly bad. And what's amazing is there's still two teams worse than them, Drew. Tulsa and UL Lafayette. Amazing. Some of the defense being played or not being played is astounding, particularly from the Pirates side here.
You know what's amazing too? And UConn is playing at a faster tempo. That's definitely something that's going to help that total.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, with Rhett Lashley there coming over from Auburn, I mean, they've picked up the tempo. The problem is it's such a terrible fit. And I said this at the IFBC. I mean, Rhett Lashley going there, running an up-tempo system offensively with a team that's devoid of skill position talent, that has mediocre at best quarterback play, yet they're ramming this system down everybody's throat. And it's just a complete massive non-fit. And as a result, you don't even need UConn probably to score a ton of points in this game. They're just going to go, 2 and out, 3 and out quite a bit. That's their 3 and out. They've done that a lot this season. And that's going to allow East Carolina, which still has a capable enough offense to, move the football, tire out a bad defense, and put up points against them. So, it is a high total. It's not what we're used to seeing from UConn, but you got to remember, it's a bad defense. It's a team that's playing a lot faster pace on offense. And East Carolina, again, they're not exactly a defensive sieve. A defensive juggernaut, I should say, either. They are a defensive sieve. Maybe this is the week UConn can at least do a little bit offensively in terms of point production.
That's what I was going to ask, Big Man. I mean, do you notice the Husky offense actually, kind of running well?
No, they're not exactly running well, but again, as Ian said, and Drew, if you remember when you and I did the campus connection, when you're instituting a new offense, that's great and all, but you have to have people that can run the offense. And as the season goes on, I think they're going to get more and more comfortable running that. Last week, I mean, they put up 18 points against Virginia. Look, it wasn't ideal. They didn't play well, but I think they can get into the 20s in this game, surely. I think this is a shootout type of game. I think both these teams are, just really poor. They can't stop the pass. Both have turned into kind of passing football teams. And with Rhett Lashley there, you finally have a team that's kind of on your level that you can go out and, again, Virginia's somewhat on their level as well, but they're a team that's making a little bit of a change up a little bit, and it was on the road as well. I think this they can get into the 20s here, 24, 27 points, and I think East Carolina can push 40 in this game. I think they don't have trouble scoring. They also have trouble stopping anyone.
Okay. And Donnie Rightside, let's get you in here. College football talk, man. Anything you're looking to back going forward?
Yeah, looking at that ECU Connecticut game, you want to back one side. They're both awful football teams, and Jeff was right. Look at an ECU overall. They already, had the switching of the chairs on the Titanic 2 weeks ago, and how did that end up versus Virginia Tech? Obviously, Virginia Tech's a much better football team, but they weren't even competitive on the field. Now they're trying. I saw the head coach. Who's the head coach at ECU? Name is
Montgomery.
Yes, comes out. He's really upbeat on Monday. Hey, Thomas Sirk's going to be back in the game. That's not going to help your defense. I don't care what you have going on offense, or you're just going to get a quarterback back who the transfer from Duke, and that's going to make everything better. You're still going to probably give up to a bad Connecticut team 400 to 500 yards the same way you've been doing that. I don't know how you can back either one, but looking at down the road, ACC buying a little bit earlier this summer. Wake Forest 3-0, looking to go 4-0 versus a tough App State squad this weekend. I think they can win and cover that ball game, but not so much how many wins they're going to actually end up throughout the season. Look at the schedule coming up: FSU, Clemson, Georgia Tech, Louisville, and Notre Dame in succession. Not so much winning those football teams, but I think you're going to find a little bit of value. That Wake Forest is a good football team, and they're probably going to be downgraded because most people don't understand, Wake Forest, how are they going to beat FSU or Clemson? They're not going to beat both of those teams, but I think they can be competitive moving forward. One team I'm looking to fade, which I don't think, the sun is going to come up too much longer on the Arizona State Sun Devils. Looking at the game, 1-2 coming in, can't stop anybody. Let's take a look at their Pac-12 foes coming up: Oregon, Stanford, Washington, Utah, USC, Colorado, UCLA. Don't see very many wins coming from that football team. Could get ugly quick here.
Dude, Todd Graham could be on the hot seat. Yeah, fade city in Tempe, Arizona. I like that. I like that philosophy there, Donnie.
And they have zero toughness. If Arizona State faces a team with a power ground attack, they're soft, they're weak. They're just going to get bowled over, just like San Diego State did to them a couple weeks ago. There's no physical toughness, none, zero. in the trenches coming from Arizona State, and that's going to be a big problem for them going forward.
I'd be interested to hear the panel's opinion. I know there's a bevy of people here that enjoy the Sun Belt, and Donnie mentioned Wake. That's an interesting matchup. I mean, App State has another shot here at an ACC opponent or a high-level opponent. You know, they didn't play well against Georgia in the SEC, but now you get another Power 5 opponent here at home. You're getting points here. I mean, Donnie, this is a concerning game if you're Wake, I think. I mean, they really – I mean, look, Utah State's really poor. Boston College, okay. Presbyterian, this is a tough game. I mean, any opinion, Drew? I know you're a Sun Belt guy. I think they get a little retribution here, App State. I mean, they have to play better. They have not played well this year. They struggled last week against the Bobcats in Texas State. They struggled against Georgia, only putting up 10 points. What's up with App State? I mean,
yeah, big man, I'll tell you this. That was exactly my thinking last week in thinking they were going to go on the road to San Marcos and just dominate. And they didn't. So it really has me pumping the brakes on the Mountaineers. I'm staying away from this one. If anything, I would look towards Wake, but I don't have a bet on this. Lost on them last week. And so since I've learned in the past, you know, especially in these Sun Belt Conference USA teams, sometimes when these teams lose, you know, against this point spread by, you know, double digits like they did, watch out because they could go downhill real fast. But I don't know, Ian and Donnie, do you guys have anything different to say on that?
I want to state one thing about this Wake Forest team. To me, it is no coincidence whatsoever that ever since the black cloud was lifted of that complete imbecile, that complete asshat, radio analyst, whatever it was, he was, that was giving away information on the Wake Forest team in terms of game plan info, preparations for the next opponent. He was doing that for apparently upwards of a year or two with this Wake Forest football program. I don't think it's a coincidence that since that black cloud was lifted, they crush their bowl game and win that one with ease. And they've started out the season very, very strong. Wake Forest was a Roundtable winner a couple weeks ago against Boston College. But the one caution is Presbyterian was the win. What has Boston College done since that loss to Wake Forest? You know, they've not been good. I've not liked at all what I've seen from Boston College this season. And then, of course, last week against a Utah State team that clearly last year was down, and this year they don't look to be a whole heck of a lot better. I mean, outside of one good half against Wisconsin in their opener, it's not been good for Utah State. So just how good is Wake Forest? They are going up against, I still think, is a little bit better of a test for them in App State. It's been disappointing for sure. Big time for this Appalachian State team. I think we all expected them to be better and perform better on the field with Lamb back at quarterback, with a good ground game, with what we thought was going to be a pretty good defense, which is something that Satterfield's had there at App State, good defenses, but hasn't happened yet. So we'll see what Wake does, but I'm a Wake believer as for right now, and I'm not looking to go against them at this point in time.
Yeah, good point with the radio thing. But big man, anything else on this? Or
No. I definitely just think it's an interesting game. It's kind of, you know, you got two teams that are, you know, one's playing well, and you know, that's a good point he mentions. I mean, it is interesting how as soon as that whole thing came out, now they're all of a sudden winning every game. But hey, look, don't knock Dave. Dave Clawson's done some good things with this program. I mean, they were a bad program a couple years ago, and he's really kind of outfitted them going forward here, and they've like some other ACC teams, really kind of become a thorn in a lot of tough team side. They're not going to go away in games this year. I think this is his third or fourth year there. They're starting to really buy into that program. You have juniors and seniors all over this team. So, yeah, I like that. That's a good point by Ian.
Okay. Hey, guys, I wanted to ask the panel something off the cuff. We're going to go over the TCU-Oklahoma State game. Something that's kind of creeped in my head in the last couple years that I've had trouble with, and I've actually lost. I think it's more volatile when betting it, and this is just off the cuff. I haven't warned you guys, so if you don't have a good answer, you know, sorry about that. Sorry for putting you on the spot. But handicapping teams like Oklahoma State in what I call like a runaway train. So they're favored by 25, but it's really hard to handicap that because their offense scores so much. Whereas, you know, they could kind of, the opposing team can keep it close, yet in the end of the third quarter, fourth quarter, the Cowboys just run away with it because of their explosive offense. Do you guys stay away from that type of betting, or do you kind of incorporate that into your numbers? I don't know if any of you guys have a response, but Ian, do you have anything on that?
Yeah, I'm going to combine both answers. I mean, when it comes to a team like Oklahoma State and what we've seen from them this season, I mean, the numbers, there's nothing to be over-exaggerate here. You can't understate it enough what they've done. 3-0 straight up, 3-0 against the spread. They have annihilated the point spread in all 3 games. They have outgained their opponents, Tulsa, South Alabama, and Pittsburgh, first 3 opponents, by 208 yards, 330 yards, and 324 yards in those 3 games. They have crushed the point spread in all 3 games, 3-0 straight up and against the spread. With a team like that, my motto is, do not step in front of the falling knife. Do not step in front of the falling knife, because if you do, you're going to get stabbed. You're going to get stabbed at some point. And Oklahoma State's that falling knife. Until I see evidence of the betting markets catching up to how prolific this team is offensively and how they are just rolling on that side of the ball with weapons galore and a defense that I think is better than people think, until I see evidence the point spread is caught up with this team, I want absolutely no part, none. Zero of going against Oklahoma State right now.
But those big-time sharps out in Vegas can't seem to understand this team. They keep betting against them every week. All those high-level sharp bettors out in Vegas that we talk about.
And the question is this the week the point spread catches up to Oklahoma State? I am not sure, so I'm not betting this game, but I am not going against Oklahoma State until I see that evidence. I know it's TCU. It's a good TCU team, but let's also keep in mind, TCU faced Arkansas. I've been disappointed in Austin Allen, the quarterback. They haven't had much of a passing game this year, Arkansas. So I'm not as impressed in that win as some people might be. And then they faced SMU last week, who does have a good passing attack. Chad Morris and that SMU offense led by the quarterback, Ben Hicks, who's gotten a lot better this season. They moved the ball against TCU. That TCU defense struggled a little bit against that SMU Mustang offense last week, and that's a concern now for TCU going into this game. I know Gary Patterson's heralded as a defensive mind, one of the best in that regard, but he's going up on the road against an Oklahoma State team that is just absolutely lethal right now offensively. And after what I saw from TCU last week, big man, against SMU, there's no way I'm interested in TCU. And again, until Oklahoma State, the point spread catches up to them, until I see that it has, I'm not going against the Cowboys and Mike Gundy, not even maybe.
And that's the point here. I mean, every year we hear about how good he is as a defensive coach. I mean, what was he, 5 years ago as good as a defensive coach? There's always an excuse as to why this team doesn't play well defensively. I don't think that this team anymore is built to win shootouts. This isn't, and I said this to Donnie, this is not Trevon Boykin and Josh Doxson anymore. This team runs the football. They're more of a power running team. I don't trust Kenny Hill to win you a football game, especially on the road in Stillwater against a team that just can't be stopped. I thought they could have scored 100 points if they would have stayed and kept their foot on the gas last week against Pittsburgh. They're just rolling right now. And look, Ian makes a very good point. They gave up 36 points to a team in SMU who they shouldn't give up 36 points to. I'm sorry. And now not only do you have to cover 1, not 2, not 3, you have to cover 4 receivers. You got to worry about Justice Hill, and you got to worry about, to me, the biggest dark horse candidate in the country to win the Heisman, in Mason Rudolph, who is just on fire right now. And add in the fact it's on the road, and Kyle Hicks, your best running back's out as well. I don't understand why you would bet against Oak State right now. They're a falling sword, like Ian said, and I don't think TCU is built for a shootout, and I think that's what they're going to have to get in to stay in this game. Oklahoma State's for real, and they're going to show that to the country who don't think they're for real after beating 3 Patsies. I think they win, I don't know, 48-24, something like that. I think they crush TCU.
Hey, Donnie, I want to get you in here because I know you understand the betting markets as good as anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand the concept of or do you use the concept of kind of the runaway train like Oklahoma State, and how do you bring that into your betting?
Well, I mean, if you look at Oklahoma State, let's get something straight here. They're a really good football team, but they also play in the same state as Oklahoma. The angle I would get here is Mike Gundy wants to overshadow Baker Mayfield in Oklahoma. So every time their quarterback, who they would love to recruit and say, you know what, this guy down the road, Baker Mayfield, not even as good as my quarterback. Look at the Heisman. We got the hardware right here. That plays a major effect, because if you can use that and say, you know what, I have a Heisman Trophy candidate, we're going to hang ridiculous numbers up, because at the end of the season, we're going to be going right head-to-head with Texas, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State, trying to get the same players. Hey, quarterback, you're a 5-star. you want to go to Oklahoma or you want to come here and win the Heisman Trophy like I just did last year? I think that all plays into it pretty well. If he was just an average quarterback, and they were just winning football games by a touchdown, 28-21, I don't think it would matter, but they have a high octane offense. This is an unbelievable recruiting tool. Come here. We're going to put up 60 points every week against the best competition, and you're going to win the Heisman Trophy. I think that plays into it this year.
It's funny. I'm hearing Sam Darnold this and Baker Mayfield that in terms of Heisman talk. Where's Mason Rudolph's Heisman talk? I know he hasn't faced the elite competition yet, but give him a chance. I think he's going to be in that race before the season's done for sure, the way he's going.
And Drew, as far as the falling knife thing, and like they're not even Oklahoma State giving teams a chance to hang around and cover. I mean, as far as that's concerned, sometimes in college football, you have to just, if you don't like this runaway train or whatever, you don't, I don't get that. If you're a smart bettors are going to jump on things that work. I don't understand the thought process between continuously betting against teams like Oklahoma State. That doesn't seem sharp to me. That seems fucking stupid to me. It doesn't make sense, and I don't know why people keep doing it, and they're just going to keep getting crushed week after week because they don't want to change what they do. You have to be able to change your spots in this business, Drew, and people aren't doing that. And if you're going to keep betting against Oklahoma State, like Donnie said, Mike Gundy's a prick. He doesn't care about – he would do what James Franklin did last week, I feel like, call timeouts and stuff. They're going to put as many points as they want on the board. And I'm sick of hearing about 93% of the money's on Oklahoma State. Who gives a shit? It was 90% of the money on Oklahoma State last week, and they made bettors that bet against them look like fucking idiots. With Oklahoma State right now, it doesn't matter. Until they lose, you got to keep betting on them.
Oklahoma State has beaten the point spread by 54 points in
Correct.
their first 3 games combined. That tells me the markets have been way off on this team. And again, until I see evidence, until I see them fail to cover a number or even come close to failing to cover a number, there is no way I'm going with TCU in this spot. I know that's a capable team. I know it's going to be Oklahoma State's toughest foe to this point, but nope, not until I see the corrections made, and they haven't been so far.
The chat box is awesome. We're having a bunch of discussions. Donnie, you're hilarious, man. Hey, but guys, you big man, you brought up change, and it's something I think we all can agree on. If you can find change that the market is slow to react on, that is how you can win in sports betting. We got one here with the Purdue Boilermakers. We got Michigan traveling to Purdue. Looks like they're laying 10 now, so laying double digits on the road in conference, total of 52. Donnie, you want to start us off? How are you feeling about betting this game?
I'm telling you, I mean, the great thing about this, roundtable that we do, Jeff and I do the right side of campus, is we do have differing opinions at times. This one, to me, again, not to say I'm going to take the game, but just trying to provide an angle here, looking at Purdue. I like the upstart. I love the head coach. I mean, we followed Western Kentucky for years in shootout after shootout versus La Tech. But this is a little bit of a step up here and a step up for Purdue. You're going to get into a football game where now you're going against a team that's going to be more physical than you are, and how do you handle that? But the one environment I like is Purdue's going to get a sellout. They're not used to that. They're going to be excited. The kids are coming in this football game ready to play. But it's going to be interesting that first quarter when Michigan is going to start to lean on Purdue, how they're going to punch back. You're not asking Purdue even to win this football game. And from the way they've competed in the first few games, why not? I mean, they're going to have double digits at home. But if I had to make a wager on this game, I just think Michigan's too much of a step up in this environment. I think that defense is going to wear on them. I could see one of those games, a 30-17 type Michigan win here. I think Michigan's going to be able to get that double-digit winner here.
Okay. And big man, you got any follow-up on that? You agree with Donnie?
Look, I mean, and I'm going to build off of when you talk about change in college football in any sport, you have to be okay with losing. You're going to lose bets. Mm-hmm. To find out information on teams. It's almost like in poker when you have a big hand and you fold and you say to your opponent, how much you want to see that hand. It's information. You're gaining information off your opponent. It doesn't matter about money. Sometimes it's about you got to pay a little money to make a little money. And this is a big game for Purdue. This is a game where it's in conference against a good opponent after you've beaten up questionable teams and you lost to a decent team in Louisville. If I lose Purdue here, ain't going to be no skin off my back. I'm going to learn a lot about Purdue, and that's important to me. One thing I do know, though, Michigan, I don't think they're that high-level football team right now. Right now, they're struggling. They're struggling with people staying healthy. Their best receiver, Tarek Black's out now. On a receiving core that really doesn't have many weapons. They don't have many weapons in the passing game. Jake Butt's gone. Amari Darbo's gone. Chesson's gone. Ty Isaac's been injured. Wilton Spate, I think he's like 53% completion. They can't score in the red zone. There's just a lot of things. And now you got to go on the road and do that in the Big Ten. I get we love Jim Harbaugh. We love his tenacity. We love what he does every week. But we can't get away from the fact of how many good players they lost last year. I'm aware they have a good defense line. I'm aware that they have a lot of good things on their team. But overall, I think this is a very good spot, and we're going to find out a lot about Purdue. If they lose, I'm okay with it. I'm going to learn a lot about them going forward, and they're going to be in this game. Jeff Brom is a good football coach. I think this is a great number, double digits at home. I'm all over this one. I think Purdue hangs here. If they lose by 13, a salud. I know they're a good team, though, and they're going to hang in this game. They're going to be on my card a lot this year. Purdue has really surprised me. And in football, you have to be willing to say, you know what? This team has been bad for 3 or 4 years, or 5 or 10 like Purdue's been. They might be back now with a new coach. And we see what's happening in West Kentucky. They're really struggling. That's all on Jeff Brom. Great hire from Purdue. One of the best of the offseason.
All right, boys, you want to throw out anything else with college football before we move on to another news section called the Degenerate Special? Anybody else want to throw out anything college football?
Yeah, I'll quickly actually say something about the Michigan game. It's funny because I usually exchange emails with 4 or 5 different cappers. I send plays to them. They send plays to me. It's just, we get to exchange opinions sort of thing. And all I saw last week in the emails, Purdue. Against Missouri. That was a very popular side, and I was on them as well. They won outright. If I play this game, I'm playing with the Purdue side plus the points. The one concern I have here is you look at the Ohio and the Missouri wins. Ohio at home. Missouri is just a complete disaster right now. I mean, Barry Odom fires the defensive coordinator. It makes no difference whatsoever. It's still a sieve on that side of the ball against Purdue. The Louisville win, as much as I liked it initially, there's some luster and some shine off it right now after seeing Louisville get rolled by Clemson last weekend. So it's just a question now, is Purdue ready to go from this improving bottom tier to maybe mid-tier Big Ten team and ready to go with toe-to-toe for 60 minutes with one of the bigger foes in the conference? That's going to be the question. It is at home. That's an advantage to them. David Blau is making progress, just like we'd expect from Jeff Brom. He makes quarterbacks better wherever he goes. Brandon Doughty, Mike White at Western Kentucky. Look at the way those guys played there under Jeff Brom. He's making David Blau better already. Less interceptions for Blau the last couple of games. He's going to have to play mistake-free football. And he's even admitted, Jeff Brom, that we're struggling a little bit to throw the football. I want to throw the football as much as possible. We're not a good enough offense to do that right now. So Purdue is going to try to run the football in this game. The question is, are they going to be able to do it? I think they're going to have to be able to run it at least a little bit. We'll see if it works. I'm just questioning whether they're ready for this big of a jump just yet. That being said, Jeff's points about Michigan are very valid. Red zone struggles. Wilton Spate, barely 50% completions, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, only 500 yards passing in the first 3 games for Michigan. Do they have the offensive firepower to win by this kind of margin? And I'm not sold they do. So we'll see what happens Saturday.
Here's the point, though, also that we have to make. This is one game. We have to remember that. I feel like on every show this week, we have talked about this game. And we're putting it out there, and I'm putting it out there like it's the biggest game of the year. This is a one bet for me. This won't be a premium play. This is a game that you watch, you learn about, you get information from. I'm betting on Purdue. I think they're the right side. I really believe they're the right side. At this point in the season, right now, they're the right side in this football game. You cannot sell a feasible option that Michigan is the right side in this game. I don't care that they beat Florida. First of all, that game looked a lot worse than it was. They got a fumble recovery late in that football game. And look, let's be real. Florida's not that good. They're a decent team, but they were without 10 starters in that game. At the end of the day, also with what Ian said, they hung with Louisville. It was impressive. I was surprised by it. Louisville still has a Heisman Trophy possible winner on their hands there, and he won it last year. So that was still impressive. They gained that experience. They held a good Missouri offense on the road to 3 points last week, and they crushed a team in Ohio who, Donnie, you and I believe might be a sleeper team in that conference to win, one of the better Group 5 conferences there is. So overall, they've done enough. They're going to be ready for Michigan. This is not the strongest Michigan team we've seen. Again, don't overrate Michigan here. They're a very good football team, but let's be real. I mean, they're a middling ranked team. They're a top 15 team probably. I think they can hang within 2 touchdowns or so here.
Key to watching this game is Purdue at the very beginning, first quarter. Are they nervous? Are they tight? This is one of the bigger games they've had in this program now in a couple of years. Is there drop passes? Is there turnovers? Is there penalties? Are they wound up a little bit too tight? Going to be an interesting thing to see, especially early in this football game.
I want to give a shout out to QQQ. Also, perfect rotation, throwing a bunch in on the chat box, making sense. We chimed in on the Oklahoma State. I agree with them. Just stay away from that because it's a hard thing to cap. Also, look at the side, like Big Man was saying. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Guys, on to the degenerate special real quick here. 395, 396. We got FIU traveling to Rice. 53.5. The total looks like Rice is laying 2.5. Man, laying points with Rice or betting on FIU. Donnie, how you betting this one? If you
spread tickets coming up 84% on the home team here. Rice, the -2.5 with two awfully bad football teams. I tend to just lean on the home team and say, hey, if a bad football team can go on the road and win a football game, congratulations, because with that line just 2.5, I'll lean on Rice here. I know they look terrible against Stanford, a nice bounce back victory against another awful football team, but I know the Florida boys, you probably have better athletes on Florida International, but it's still a road game. I'll lean on Rice in this spot. Just, you're right, a degenerate special where if I flip the coin, just give me the home team here.
It's a night game too, so it's not, will be
should be a packed house. Yeah,
there will be nobody at this game. By the way, Rice home games are pretty funny to watch when you're streaming them. I love the comment leaning on Rice, Donnie. That was a good one. Big Man, how you betting this one? Gun to head.
I'm actually interested in this game, to be honest. I don't understand feasibly how you could consider laying points with Rice. I don't really get it. I mean, this team's favored with a backup quarterback, and they're favored. Why? Because they're at home? Who cares? No one goes to their games. Most of their fans are still cleaning up from a hurricane. They don't give a shit about Rice football. Come on, stop with this. I mean, they had 242 yards against Houston. They just can't move the football. And Florida International, I think you're totally right, Drew. They have better athletes, or Donnie said, I'm sorry. They have better athletes. They have the better coach for sure. We can knock Butch Davis, but he's still a decent coach. He's way better than David Bailiff. I like McGuff. I like Gardner. We have to remember, I mean, Florida International we haven't seen in a while. I mean, they haven't played since the 8th. They've been off a couple
Jeff, what about the opposite hurricane angle, though? I mean, you got two teams in Hurricane Alley here. Might just offset.
Yeah, well, I think for me, I feel like Florida International, like South Florida, I think they needed a week or so off here. They did not look good against Alcorn State. They got crushed by Central Florida week 1. I think they needed the week off. But I can't feasibly understand why you would lay points with Rice. For me,
great game we picked out, though. It's pretty funny.
We did. Thanks. Amazing. You it's like a cracker, a barn burner, yeah.
You did a good job of picking one of the worst games I've ever seen. I would go with the underdog here. I think they're the better team. I don't really Rice. The only reason Rice is favored is because they're at home. But let's be real. I mean, they have no home advantage. I think the benefit of the break will benefit FIU. Give me them here with the points. I would go.
Yeah, this is a section, the degenerate special, especially if we get matchups like this. This is going to hang around the roundtable. I like this. But Ian Cameron, man. So you betting FIU on the road, tough, or are you leaning on Rice like Donnie Wright said?
I am definitely, if I'm playing this game, leaning to FIU. Okay, because look at Rice here. Their one win was against UTEP. You do not deserve a bump in your power rating for beating UTEP. Nobody does. Nobody does. That's the important thing to remember. Nobody should be given credit for beating UTEP. That program is a pathetic disgrace right now. On both sides of the ball, I'm seeing signs of quit from UTEP on a weekly basis. They flat out quit against Arizona last week. There was no effort to be had in the second half of that football game when they laid down against Arizona. And that's Rice's one win this season. The other two games, they got killed. Like Kenny Banya said to Jerry, kill it, Jerry, kill. That's exactly what happened there with Rice in their other two games. They just got absolutely destroyed, outgained by over 200 yards in both games. Not good whatsoever. At least with Florida International, You know, it's a team that's got a bye week. You give Butch Davis, who's, you know, a guy that's been around the block, chance to design a game plan, get his team ready to go against a Civ Rice defense. At least they still have, you know, a veteran quarterback, although he's always frustrated me over the years, Alex McGough. At least he's a guy that has been in the system on the team now for multiple years. I think he can go in there, do enough offensively against this pathetic Rice defense to pull out a win here in this game. I don't love it, but definitely would rather take it with FIU at the points than lay it with this Rice Owls team. You don't deserve to have a bump in your power rating beating UTEP. No way, no how.
All right, good stuff, guys. On the Degenerate Special, really good broadcast overall. Sorry about the mishap. Roger Goodell did not like the betting information coming out on the NFL, cut us off. Guys, let's get into best bets, then we can close it down. You want to start us off, Ian? We'll come right back at you. What are you looking at for best bets this weekend?
Yeah, first thing, too, about UTEP, Sean Kugler, happy trails, as they say on PTI. He's going to be gone. There's no way he's sticking around.
Bailiff should be, too, at Rice. I don't know why he's hanging around either.
Yeah, exactly. Kugler for UTEP and Bailiff for Rice, for sure. Two guys that are probably on their way out. You know what? I was against this team last week with a winner, and they played a whale of a game. It was a hell of a game, came down to the wire, and I'm going to go against them one more time. I'm going to look at the Cal Golden Bears plus 17. That's rotation number 404 against the USC Trojans. Look, it's the first road game here for USC. Coming off barn burners against Stanford and Texas in back-to-back weeks, including an overtime win against Texas. Let's see you go out on the road now. Face a California team that I know at quarterback. Ross Bowers is still a guy that's developing. He's still, I think, a little bit limited in terms of the passing game. But to see USC's offense and Sam Darnold, the dual running backs, and Carr and Jones get bottled up by Texas the way they were, it's like they were stuck in mud for that entire football game. That's a concern for me, laying 17 points here on the road. And let's give this California defense, guys, a little bit of credit last week. You know, they really harassed Shea Patterson, very good quarterback, and a very explosive Ole Miss offense last week in getting that victory against the Rebels. I was impressed with their defense. And in fact, I think their defense has taken some steps forward the last couple of weeks. And, you know, for USC and Clay Helton's team, this is not about winning games by margin. You don't need to do that to be alive in the playoff race and win the Pac-12 and be in the Final Four at the end. You just got to win games by any margin. That's all you got to do, as long as you don't lose if you're USC. I don't think margin matters to this team. Clearly, we saw that on display last week against Texas, escaping in overtime. I think Cal at home, you know, they're going to be fired up. Everybody's going to be fired up against USC. Bullseye on their back this year, the Trojans, you know, top 5 ranked team in the country. And I think Cal does enough on defense to bottle, at least harass Sam Darnold on that offense enough to allow them to cover this number. So give me Cal plus 17 as my best bet. And I want to point out one thing too. Gus Johnson on the call of Texas USC. We love the guy. He's got enthusiasm, energy, passion. Great for the big moments and the big touchdowns, guys. It's great to hear Gus call those, but I don't need to hear Gus Johnson's voice go, and he's throwing to the end zone for a ball that's thrown 20 yards over the receiver's head and out of the back of the end zone. Like, Gus, for a play or two like that, when it's not even close to being caught, can you just dial it back a little bit, calm down a little bit, just for a couple of plays here? You don't have to lose your voice and lose your shit every single play. That's all I'm saying.
I think he's dreadful to listen to. I mute the TV when he's on. I can't stand it. He's horrible. Same with Vern Lundquist. Thank God he's gone.
No,
Yeah,
Ellinger, when Ellinger,
Lundquist, yeah, see, now I know Jeff's probably just doing this just to get me fired up.
No,
I love Vern Lundquist in SEC. They lost, like, I'm watching the 3:30 SEC game now, and I'm just like having a tear running down my eye. His calls were awesome, man.
He's seen
some of the most memorable calls of all time. It's not even about how well they call the game, the intricacies. It's that old comforting voice, the same way Musburger. You knew it was a big game when you heard Vern's voice. That's what I loved.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Gus, Ian. I like that.
I love Gus. I think Gus is Gus keeps the game fun. Like, you're gonna watch USC. Like, I don't want a straight up like guy calling the game. I don't like that in football. I like a guy that gets excited to keep you involved. Because again, college football is damn near marathon for 5 hours. Somebody's got to wake me up during the game.
But on that Texas drive when they scored the touchdown, Ellinger's throwing a ball to the end zone when they're down 14-10. They were driving. It's like way out of the back of the end zone, and you hear Gus going, "Ah!" on with his voice, and it's like, you got to calm down.
Like, go back and watch Auburn versus Alabama in the Iron Bowl that ended on the field goal. Vern's call was the single best call I ever.
He didn't even know where the ball was. He was like, he didn't even know what was going on.
He literally didn't talk for 3.5 minutes when that game ended, and it was phenomenal to watch it play out.
An answered prayer. That was his call.
Oh my, it was awesome. That was absolutely phenomenal.
Auburn with the Iron Bowl. What a classic finish. That finish I'll never forget. That Alabama Auburn.
He's got blockers. Touchdown, and answered prayer. And then he doesn't talk for literally 3 full minutes while you're showing the crowd and everybody's going wild.
The only thing he ever did was when he did Happy Gilmore, he goes, Happy Gilmore? Who the hell is Happy Gilmore? That was the one thing.
I don't know. That Auburn, Alabama, I think that was the best moment of my life. I don't know. But, hey, big man, what do you got for best bets, man?
Shout out to Som Ting Wan watching from North Korea. Wow. That's
Say hello to Kim Jong.
Don't get in trouble there, cuz. Watch yourself.
That's awesome.
If it's true, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I've been on an obsession with watching North Korean documentaries lately. I've been all over that. Very interesting, very fascinating, very sad as well. I'm going to go to 361, 362. Talked about this game with Donnie last night on his closing line show. I feel like the wrong team's favored in this game. I think Michigan State's very undervalued at home off a bye here. I'm not crazy about laying points on the road with Brandon Wimbush. He struggled a little bit this year to move the football. Kid can run for sure, but we have an improved defense here at Michigan State. A team that, people are kind of down on. They've had some trouble and haven't looked good. But even last year, Donnie, 3-9, they went and beat Notre Dame. They're an extra time to prepare for D'Antonio. And an interesting stat, Michigan State is the best team in the country on third down defensively. They are not allowing teams to convert. They're getting teams off the field. And LJ Scott, to me, is the best player on the field in this game. Look for Michigan State off a bye to get the job done here. I think they win this game outright, but I'll take the points as my best bet of the week.
All right, big man. And before we get to Donnie, just please, if you like the content, guys, please give us a thumbs up. Also, remember Jimmy the Bag contest, over $25,000 in prizes. So make sure to check that out. If you haven't signed up, you can still get weekly prizes. Donnie, want to hit us with your best bet?
Yeah, picked up a nice winner last week. I know we had a down week the week before with baseball, but picked up a good one there with an NFL winner. So let's see, keep it on the same plane track here. I'm going to go with the Monday Night Football game. A lot of games on Sunday. I still have to vet out, still have to get involved in a couple of these line movements and really see what I like. But gave that one out already, 489, 490, Monday Night Football, Dallas and Arizona. Not so much the side here. I know you can easily make a case for either one. Hard to win, on the road on Monday night. What are you going to get out of Dallas? Well, the one thing I know I can lean on this is probably a decent defensive effort from Dallas, and you don't need a great defensive effort on Monday night. Arizona's not going to be able to move the football. Old, aging, wide receiving core, so to speak. You have running backs that aren't impressive, an offensive line that's banged up. I think Dallas can do it just enough to stymie that offense. Then we flip around on Dallas, still trying to find out what they're about. Didn't look very good there versus Denver. The week before that, the Giants did just enough for a victory. I think Des Bryant will be taken out of the football game by a really good secondary. I think the running game, they're going to try to crank up. They're going to bleed some clock out of there. I can easily see this game ending up in the low 40s here. I'll take the 47 currently at Chris or 47 currently at Sportsbook. I'm leaning towards under in that football game. I think it has a better shot to stay in the lower 40s than somehow get into the lower 50s here. I'll look at the under here as my best bet play of the week here on the Roundtable.
Good pick.
All right, Donnie, and I'll go with the Kentucky Wildcats +3 at BetOnline right now over Florida. I'll take BMOC's advice. Florida's not that good. Also, an awful spot for the Gators. I mean, going on the road to Lexington at night after the game they just played, plus the hurricane issues with practice. I like the Wildcats plus the points.
Yeah, for the record, I just want to make this clear. I don't think Kentucky's very good either, Drew. But again, that's just my opinion.
No, it's a spot play for me. I'm on the Wildcats +3. So we got Ian Cameron on Cal +17, BMOC on Sparty +4, Donnie, Dallas, Arizona in the NFL under the total of 47, and I am on Kentucky plus the points at home. Go ahead.
I'm ashamed by you, Drew. You didn't mention that Florida never loses to Kentucky. I'm ashamed by you there.
Yeah, the streak is going to end. What is it, 27 straight wins?
How about that?
Yep.
He thinks the streak's going to end. Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, if it's going to end, good spot for it to end. And I told all of you, Florida, those kids are not coming back anytime soon. They have big criminal problems down there in Gainesville. Don't think they're coming back anytime soon either.
Yeah, just Kentucky can't turn it over. I mean, I believe that Florida defense has 3 touchdowns and the Florida offense only has 2 touchdowns.
Good point.
So, Good point. Interesting stats there. So going with Kentucky plus the points. Anything else before we close it out, guys?
Catch me today, 3 o'clock, Premier League. We'll talk that. Soccer's back. I've been doing bad in it, but hopefully we'll get on the right track. Catch Donnie on the closing line. Good show over there. Get you ready for the day in sports. I know Ian will be on the Gabriel Morency show tonight. Always fun. A lot of stuff going on here at SBR. Look out for the Bet Buffet. Look out for everything. Where can you get better information than this? Just ask yourself that as you log off today. Where am I getting this kind of information? ESPN, no. I mean, CBS, no. You're getting it here at SBRpicks.com. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Use SBR odds for all your odds. There's nothing better in the business.
And you're not learning anything at FS1 either, not with Shannon and Skip.
And I won't mention the other guy.
Not even maybe, yeah.
And I won't mention the other guy at Fox Sports. Don't listen to those idiots. Listen to us here at SBR Forum.
Jason Whitlock's going to tell you who's going to cover the point spread?
Say it, Ian. Say it. CT. Can't trust him either. Don't listen to people like that. Listen to us here at SBRpicks.com.
Him and his damn little fedoras or those dopey hats he wears. Yeah, he's going to help you out. Yep.
Yo, we got Joe Everett, QQQ, perfect rotation. Thanks for chiming in, guys, on the chat box, all of you guys. Thanks for the likes, the thumbs up. It helps us out a lot. We'll be back next Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific. This is the SBR Betting Roundtable. Thanks for tuning in, guys.